Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing an educational breakdown video on one of my favorite finesse techniques that most pros don't want you to know. Now the truth is, these high-level anglers are actually throwing this technique, but they don't really talk about it much. So I'm going to be giving you guys a full deep dive here in the Bass Lab on basically one of my favorite finesse techniques to throw that catches me fish almost year-round. So to begin, I'm sure that you've heard of just your standard drop shot rig, right? Some sort of a finesse hook and some sort of a soft plastic, either threaded or just kind of nose hooked right through there like so, and just displayed on some sort of a finesse presentation, some sort of spinning rod. Or you might have heard of this technique, which is putting an EWG on a drop shot rig, and it's called a power shot or a Bubba shot. So literally just like some sort of a 2/0 or a 1/0 EWG, and then rigging, like, for example, a robo worm on there and just threading it on there, Texas rigged. Or you could even do a creature bait if you wanted, like for example some sort of a bluegill style presentation, maybe like this, or maybe this right here. If you don't know about that, we'll save that for a different video. But what would happen if we took a little wacky rig style hook and put it in place of the drop shot hook, right? Not an EWG, not a finesse nose hook, but just a little bit of a wider gap, a little bit thicker gauged, kind of finesse style wacky rig hook. Well, I'll show y'all what I do with this. I actually like to take a 4-inch stick bait, could be any brand. I'll show y'all some of my favorite ones here in a minute, but just take it, find the middle point, boom, and you've got your Wacky Shot. That right there catches so many fish for me, dude. It's insane. A few key things to note about throwing this is that a 4-inch stick bait is really difficult to throw weightless, so having the weight at the bottom allows you to get it a lot further, make more accurate casts, as well as get it deeper in the water column. Another thing to mention is that this setup is really going to work in areas where bass are pressured or conditioned, simply because most people aren't throwing this setup, and you'll be throwing something that's just a bit more different and something that the fish haven't really seen before. If you're interested in learning how to tie this setup, I've got some drop shot videos and Palomar knot videos on my channel, so make sure you head over and check those out. But anyways, let's talk about the when. In the videos I'm about to show you, I'm pretty much catching fish almost year-round on this setup, primarily in the pre-spawn to spawn, throughout spring, all the way through summer, and then back through fall to late fall. I don't throw it in the winter that much, not saying it doesn't work, but I just think that there are better baits to throw. In the summertime, I could almost say the same thing. I think that this bait is pretty effective in the summer, but it catches smaller sized fish. There are better options to catch bigger fish. For example, I might just go with the full 5-inch Senko and go weightless because the bass are going to be lethargic. They're going to want a slow moving, easy, large meal that's going to fill them up for a day, and that's kind of playing on like a large ribbon tail worm in the summer, which definitely gets bit. Alright, now that we've talked about the entire setup and how to rig it, let's go ahead and get into some of the action shots to fish this rig and see how powerful it really can be. To start things off, I want to talk about the draw power that this finesse presentation has. So for example, I walked up to fish this pond, I had my rig all set up and ready, and the first cast I made right up under this tree actually ended up landing me a nice healthy bass. Here we go. Boom. Wow, Wacky Shot produced in like first cast. Another thing I want to mention is that this technique has a really high hookup ratio due to the downsized finesse profile. Now, just to prove that this wasn't a fluke, I came back a month later and made a cast right under the tree again to call my shot and catch another bass. I'm making some nice pocket casts up under the tree. I'm hoping that there's some bass just feeding up in the shade there. Spoke that one into existence. Dude, talk about calling your shots. It's so effective that it even draws in other species of fish to bite, for example, like crappie, panfish, or like you see in this video, green sunfish. I was looking for a bass. No, I got one. All right. That is exactly what I thought it was. Massive, massive green sunfish. Which leads me to my next point. How should you fish the Wacky Shot? I prefer to jig my stick bait up and down, banging the weight against the bottom, then stopping to retrieve in all the slack, and typically getting bit on the paws. Now that's how I've caught the majority of my fish, but I'll just let this next clip kind of explain how I approach cadence.
I don't think anyone's giving me that much advice, thank you.
yeah, I mean, this is just one technique. There's so many different ways to work different techniques. The key is to just switch up your retrieve. And sometimes they want a consistent cadence. It's really just about figuring out the fish. It's like pieces to a puzzle. You just got to figure out, like, do they like this color more or that color? Do they want something with this action or no action? And it kind of tells you more and more about what the fish want. Like, they're coming in and right there.
Oh, you got one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just like that.
Yeah, it's a nice little fish.
Not a bad one, right?
Yeah.
This is just one of those techniques that can produce fish back to back, even in pressured bodies of water, similar to a drop shot. Nice. Got us another one. No, you don't. It can also produce fish of all sorts of different sizes, like really small fry-sized bass, or some decent little chunks that put up a fight. Wonder if that little guy went and told all his buddies. Nope. Lively. Lastly, I should mention the Wacky Shot works wonders off a vessel and around cover or docks, just like the classic drop shot technique. Just last year, I caught this largemouth hanging underneath a tree off of my kayak that would have been a tank if it had a bigger belly. Huh? Nam? Huge fish. Nam? Nam? Oh, okay, okay, oh no, oh no. Man? Is this GoPro rolling? Ah! Calm down. Got it. Oh, thank goodness. All right. Big old fish. All right, let's get the release on this guy. Probably like a 2.5, maybe 3. Swam right back down, man. They're up under that tree. All right, guys, that's enough of the action shots. Let's jump into some product, talking about brands, favorite colors, all that fun stuff. So first up, we've got the 4-inch Yum Dinger, which pretty popular stick bait on the market. I think everybody knows of a Yum Dinger, but this guy right here has caught me so many fish. Actually, most of the fish that you saw in that video were caught on a Yum Dinger, and the durability on this bait does tend to be a bit better than some of the other brands I'm about to show you. That's not a knock though. I think that these do catch a lot of fish. So for example, like Guggen Squad's Lunker Logs, they work amazing. The color right here, green pumpkin blue, one of my favorites. Another really good stick bait option to go with is Berkley Power Bait, the General. Really popular on the market, as well as it has that power bait scent. So if you're a fan of scent, if you think it helps, if you're a believer, then definitely a good stick bait to go with. The color right here is called Grimace. It's got like a purple body with green and red fleck going through it. I think that's awesome though. Really nice dirty water color, but again, it kind of looks like a bluegill presentation to me. So if you can't catch the theme, it's some sort of a natural or some sort of a bluegill presentation, just because I just feel like a stick bait represents a bluegill. Like, I don't really know what else it would imitate. I don't really know what makes bass want to eat a stick bait in general in the first place. So yeah, definitely a really nice color to check out though. And then lastly, of course, the classic Yamamoto Senko stick bait. You got to have this guy. And it's the green pumpkin black flake, so you know it's going to get bit. You know, it's a nice natural color, bluegill presentation again, and then you could dip the tail of it in chartreuse and really get that bluegill effect where I think you're going to get a lot of bites. So yeah, I think that probably has caught more fish than any other bait in my entire arsenal. Definitely love throwing those guys. Y'all got to check them out. A little bit more soft, a little bit more supple, but they do catch a lot of fish. And lastly, I got to give y'all the setup that I'm catching all these fish on. It's just my standard drop shot rod. You could really do it with any sort of a drop shot setup, but it's a Xfinity XJ Speed Stick by Luz. It's a 6-foot medium light, fast action, and as you can see right here, I've got it rigged up with a drop shot. I've threaded up a little Mr. Twister, or it's a dead ringer. I don't know. It's some sort of a ringtail worm, and 3/16 ounce weight, 10-pound braid, FG knot to 6 to 8 pound fluorocarbon leader. That's the setup right there, guys. You could go a bit heavier if you wanted. Go up to like a 7-foot medium fast action. Maybe do 20-pound braid to a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader. If you're around more wood or heavy cover, that'll really help you move those fish out of the cover. But yeah, That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for clicking to watch. As always, make sure y'all hit that like button. Drop me a comment down below with any questions you might have. I'd love to hear from y'all. And hit the subscribe and notification bell to stay following along for some more amazing educational videos that I'll have coming out here in the future. As always, guys, y'all know how we're rocking. Keep it cool and happy fishing.